right. Here I am back in the closet. We've got some relatives staying with us for a while, and it's just more convenient to be here. Don't tell my wife I'm still collecting cards. Anyway, I think I'm going to call this something like How a Vintage Collector, me, went from disgusted to delighted with select modern cards. Most of what you will see is Aaron Judge. Now, I will show a couple of vintage cards kind of in the middle because some of you are kind enough to watch my videos when I talk about modern cards, even though you're not really so much into them. Although, if you're not so much into them, I think this is a video worth considering because I used to be disgusted with modern cards. For example, I tried several times to collect an Aaron Judge rookie card and failed every time because it was choice overload, and I didn't really understand, how to determine if one option is better than the other. Now, I know it's all about what you like personally, but I didn't even know enough to necessarily know what I like. So I would just give up, pretty disgusted actually, and say, that's okay, modern's not for me. Here's the deal. Now, if other people collected modern, I was happy for them. If they were stoked, I was stoked for them. So, of course, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't poo-hoo their cards. If they're happy, I'm happy. It just wasn't for me. So, what changed? Well, I think what changed was Dylan, Double D Vintage Baseball Card, Shane, Shoebox Legends, and then, of course, other people as well, showing their modern cards via YouTube. And educating me some. Now, I still don't know that much about modern. I mean, I'm a baby when it comes to modern. But I know a lot more than I did. So what changed was really being inspired by certain community members, and then kind of having an epiphany. And here was my epiphany, a little drink before epiphany reveal, a toast to you. My epiphany was, just go find the ones that you like, that appeal to you. And some people have said that modern, it's, going to all go down in value because even though there's lots of limited cards out of 100 or 99 or out of 50 serial numbered, that there's just so many parallels, so many sets, it can never really go up in value. Well, hey, some of it has already went up in value, and I think it's safe to say this is what's going to happen. I mean, hey, am I saying I can predict the future? Well, I'm saying I think what I'm about to say will be true in the future because it's already true, and it's not really that crazy of a statement. And that is, some of your modern parallels already have went up, and some of them absolutely will go up over time because they are popular. There's demand for them. They're cool. People like them. They want them. This could be like Topps Black or Topps Independence Day. Again, Topps Black, numbered to the number of years since the 1951 Topps set, and that's been running for quite a while, I think since 2003. And then some of the parallels won't have as much demand and may very well go down in value. I mean, some of them will go down in value, of course. Some of the cards will. So I think it's safe to say that some of the modern cards will do really, really well, because, some of them are quite limited and there'll be quite the demand for them. And then others will, not do so well at all. Now, I'm not doing this for investment. I don't really think of this as investment. However, I do care about the money I spend on cards. I mean, and I like to buy things that will potentially go up in value because then I can leverage those if I ever want to sell them or trade them to get something else I want, like maybe some vintage cards. So, yeah, I like it. I like to buy things that have the potential to go up in value. Having said that, I will buy something that I don't think has the potential to go up in value just because I think it's really cool. In fact, I'll buy something that I think probably is a horrible quote-unquote investment just because I think it's cool. And that doesn't mean that I'm right. I might be wrong. It might go up in value despite my best efforts to buy something that's not going to go up in value. All right, so what changed, as I mentioned, was the epiphany was realizing, hey, find the modern cards that you like, the ones that really appeal to you, that are limited. They don't have to be, of course. Everyone collects in their own way, their own style. But for me, the ones that are limited, you like the look of them, you like there's something special about them, whether it was a special season for that player, or they were the MVP, or they broke some record, or you just really like that particular set. Maybe it's Allen and Ginter, for example. You just think the cards look super cool. So find something that appeals to you, that's meaningful to you. Research, watch videos of others who know about Modern, and just kind of dig in, immerse yourself some, and find what you really like. And I tell you what, an exciting, super exciting time to be collecting Modern, where you can find serial numbered beauties that are really tough to find, something that just speaks to you. Beautiful, beautiful cards. I mean, hey, we go back to the 40s, the 50s. Are you going to find super limited cards that, appeal to you without having to pay crazy money? No. Some of these oddball cards, I answered the question. Some of these oddball cards, like Hires Root Beer and Dandy Potato Chips and so forth, so on. The key cards are just, like Mickey Mantle and others, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, are just, way up there in value. I mean, I know that I don't think all three of those players are in Dandy, but in the Hires Root Beer, you've got a Willie Mays and a Hank Aaron. And in the Dandy, you have Mickey Mantle. And those are just some example sets. So, yeah. Now, of course, I love vintage too. I mean, vintage is really my first love. So I'm not poo-hooing vintage by any means. My point here is simply this. Find some Modern cards that speak to you, that are meaningful to you, that are limited, gorgeous, and you're not having to pay that much for them, and you can just, really enjoy them. And the X factor, they might just go up in value too, which gives you options as a collector. You could leverage them, trade them, sell them, get something else you want, maybe a nice vintage card down the road if you so choose. So, again, I'm not collecting specifically for investment, but I got no problem if my cards go up in value, considering moving some of them, although generally I buy cards to hang on to them because I like them. All right. Well, I guess that's my pitch. I mean, hey, do what works for you, of course. I'm just pitching this out there to anybody who might be kind of on the fence, or maybe you're disgusted with Modern like I was, but now I'm delighted. I went from disgusted to delighted. Woohoo! And you can too. Let me turn this camera around and show you some of these Modern beauties. It's going to be pretty much Aaron's Judge, because for the most part, that's the Modern player I collect. All right, let's do it. Okay, so we are starting with certain players that I collect. One of them is Rickey Henderson. I don't have too many of his cards, but look at this stunner. I mean, man, this thing is pure gold. I mean, what does this cost by the ounce? This is just absolute splendor. I got this recently for $70 from the first year of Topps Gilded. Now, some people might say, out of 50, some people might say, look at that look on his face. I like it. I love it, because you know what? He's working. The sun is probably causing him to squint. He's getting ready to steal. He's, his senses are on hyperdrive, and he's just ready to go. And what stunning colors. The green, the gold. So again, this was $70, a relatively recent purchase, adding to my Topps Gilded collection. Woohoo! Oh, yeah. Now, where do we go from there? I'm going to do these in pairs, so I guess I could have called this Pair Excellence. Many of you know I wanted to collect 62 variations of Topps, of Judge's 2022 Topps card, or Topps Chrome base card, in order to honor his 62 home runs. I've had a blast doing that. I'm up to actually 63. I wanted to do 62 unique or more. Most of them are serial numbered. I'll keep going, if some more come along. This is the Cherry Blossoms, Japan Cherry Blossoms. And this is out of 99. And, one of my many, many favorites. I thought I would pair that with the Big Ben. This is out of 99 as well. It's got all these Big Ben, the clock tower in London, Big Bens around the periphery, out of 99 as well. And of course, this is the UK edition. So we've got a Japan, we've got a UK. That's one of the cool things about modern. Here we're getting variations of the 2022 Judge from Japan and UK. How cool is that? All right, continuing on. No, I'm not going to show all 63, just showing some. And there's a couple more new purchases in here coming your way. Woohoo! This one I think I've shown off maybe once. I haven't had it, that long in the grand scheme of things. The blue refractor. It's amazing how long it took before one of these came along at a nice price. By the way, Dylan, Double D, he picked up one at a nice price recently as well. I think it's, one of the few Judges he's bought in recent history. This is out of 150. And then why don't we pair that blue? Why don't we pair it with the green? Out of 99. Green refractor out of 99. A lot of these I bought, after I bought them all after he had hit the 62. That's what inspired me. But before Judge cards started taking off, because he's just a beast, an absolute beast. Look at that beautiful blue and green. Super sweet. Now where are we going? We are now going Independence Day. We're going to show the 2021 Topps Independence Day out of 76. 1876, the centennial issue. Woo-hoo! And the 2022. Shout out to Shane again. This was an epic trade that landed me this card. Epic trade with Shane, Shoebox Legends, out of 76 as well. Both of those have the red stars, so I thought those would pair pretty well together. Now, in my humble opinion, I still like this card, but I think that was probably their weakest Independence Day design, because it could kind of use, some more sprucing up. This to me is a little bit better, the 2021 with these blue streaks here in that vintage Yankee logo. But I still love the 2022, and of course it's a key card, big time, in my 62 plus Judge variations from 2022. But let's talk about a couple of Independence Day cards that will knock your socks off. Look at this 2019. I mean, they really did it up right. I snapped this bad boy up when it became available. I think it was $150. And then this one was going around the eBay merry-go-round forever and ever. But finally, I got this. I think it was around $100, which I thought was just a fantastic deal. Yeah, they really did it up right here. The Independence Day in 2024 with the flag in the background, just fantastic. 1876, another centennial issue. See, here we have it right here. Here's an example of, I'm not just willy-nilly buying modern cards. I'm targeting the ones that to me are super cool to me. And here's the deal. Let's just say in the future that nobody wants these Independence Day cards because, they just don't get excited about them. I mean, first of all, I don't think that's happening. A lot of people love these things. There's only 76. What a cool number, reference to 1776 and independence. But even if it did happen, I mean, hey, man, I'd be like a kid in a candy store. I'd scarf these bad boys up if nobody wanted them. I mean, if they became worth half as much, it really wouldn't bug me a bit. I'd buy more of them. So, yeah, there's no way I can lose. That's something to talk about when it comes to collecting. If you really love what you're collecting, there's no way you can lose, because if it goes up in value, well, great, you've got some gain there if you want to leverage that for other cards or for purposes in life or for your family, whatever. But if it goes down in value, but you still love it and it's limited and it's tough to get, well, then you're still enjoying the heck out of it. So, you're still a happy camper and you can potentially buy more. So it's like an investment that shouldn't stress you out, because you don't really, you don't want it to go down, but, not a big deal if it does. Not a big deal at all. How about this magenta speckle refractor out of 350? these speckle refractors just kind of won my heart. I think this is absolutely fantastic. And then, how about this purple speckle refractor out of $2.99? So I thought, yeah, I'll show off this wonderful speckled refractor pair. Some people may not care for them. I absolutely love them. Yeah, the thing is, also, my collection, you might say, is diversified because I've got a lot of vintage cards. Most of my collecting bucks have went into vintage cards, and I've got some nice ones. Those should do all right, or at least, if the whole economy crashes, well, that's going to affect all sorts of things, all of us, but pretty much all of us, unless we're independently wealthy or whatever, and it doesn't matter. But, that's going to pretty much affect all of us. But short of that, I sort of take a kind of a big picture view. It's like, yeah, some cards in my collection probably are going down in value, but I generally don't track the values unless I'm trying to buy something. I might track some values, but, and some of them might go up, but overall they'll probably do all right. And even if they don't, I'm enjoying the heck out of them. So I'm not worried about it one bit. And to me, it's like, wow, talk about best of both worlds. Woohoo! All right, everybody, you've made it this far. I really appreciate you. I'm going to show you a couple of vintage stunners. I put these together, this one, because you seldom see this kind of ruby red with this particular shade of blue. It's not so common for the Ralph Kiner to have these stunning colors, and that's precisely why I pulled the trigger on that one. Now, notice, I do like well-centered cards. I'm not as... that's not as important to me as it is to some, but I've been influenced by my centering buddies like Dylan and Shane and others. So I do like well-centered cards, but for me, these unique colors seldom come along. To me, these colors and the registration, but particularly the colors, and of course the registration kind of goes without saying. I generally won't buy an off registration card, but these colors to me trumped even centering because you seldom see that particular shade combination. And oh man, this is a strong shade combination you don't see so often too. All right, Dylan, it's called I appreciate you shouting me out and saying you liked my saying. It's the nice to price ratio. I made an offer on this one. I've only had it a few months. $875. I think the seller wanted like $1,050. I offered $875. My offer was accepted. Getting one of these bad boys for $875 in today's market, good luck with that. This thing is stunning. It was stuck in an album on the front. That's a little bit of factory color splash that sort of zooms across there. Yeah, the glorious green on this, the beautiful blue. Yeah, so those two, not only a couple of big-time sluggers, but a couple of shades that are just knocking my socks off. You don't see so often. All right, so that was our vintage intermission. So where do we go from here? I hate to remove these beauties. Woo! Yeah, the nice to price ratio. That's, it's like, hey, could I get one that's better centered and nicer in some ways for, $2,000 or $3,000? Well, yeah, but for $875, this bad boy is screaming gorgeous. And just think about it. If you bought, one of these for, say, $2,000, well, the difference between $875 and $2,000 is $1,125 you did not have to come up with, or you could use for other stuff, including some insane mega card if you wanted to go that route. All right, continuing on. How about this? This is the Topps Black, but it's the Topps UK Black. And those are out of 125, but this one's special because it's number 62. And of course, the year he hit the 62 to break the record, and now we've got the American Black. Woohoo! This American Black beauty. Shout out to Shane. Another epic trade. Thank you so much, my collecting brother. Wow, this thing just stuns. Nevermore Minty, 7.5. Yeah, out of 71. Look at those black beauties together. What a stunning pair. Hey, Let's go black to gold. I know I've shown a lot of these before, but again, there's still some new ones I haven't shown coming. So, if that's what you're waiting for, thank you so much. It's coming. How about this gold wave refractor? Who doesn't love gold refractors out of 50? If you don't, buy them now because you'll love them later. Mike Petty saying, hey, buy what you're going to love in the future. So, yeah. Oh, man. This thing is just, wow. I'm looking for new, adjectives. This thing is just gorgeous. All right, that's out of 50. And sticking with the gold theme, one of my favorites. They're pretty much all my favorites. That's why I bought them. I buy the select cards, the ones that fit into my collection, the ones I'm stoked about, either because just individually they just, wow me, or I just, find them to be incredibly meaningful, or because, I like them, but they're meaningful because they're part of a collecting focus. How about the sapphire gold? Oh, man, that is just a gem. A bunch of gems, all just blowing. A bunch of sapphires. Woo, check out those two gold stunners. What a pair. All right, we're getting there. Might have to have another intermission if I don't speed it up. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, how about this? The 2023 Independence Day out of 76. I had offered this. The seller wanted like 250 or 300, and I think it came down to 250. It was 300, and at one point I offered 120. It was accepted. Number 62 out of 76, 120. That is just crazy. By the way, this card is available on eBay right now unless it's sold. I think it might be $230 or something, somewhere around there. The prices came down slowly but surely. Not sure if the seller's open to offers, but, the judge market has kind of increased since I bought this. So that might be a pretty nice one. Okay. This is a fairly recent purchase. I think I've shown it off just once. The 2023 black. So stoked to have this one. That's just beautiful with the black. And out of 72, because 1951 plus 72 is 2023. What a sweet pair. Can we top that? Oh, those are just outstanding. What an outstanding pair. Well, we don't necessarily have to top it. Let's just show some more beauties. I tell you what, these just, the quote-unquote plain gold refractor is becoming, very, very in demand. And here it is in an 8 out of 50. And then sometime after that, this was a card, by the way, where the dealer or the seller had it at auction, but no one had bid yet. And I immediately, when I saw the new listing, reached out to the seller and said, hey, it had a minimum bid of like $60, I think, or $50. I think it was 50. I said, hey, would you end that early since you have no bids and just sell it to me for more than your minimum bid? And he's like, what'd you have in mind? And I think I either said 125 or 135. I think it was $135. Maybe it was 125. So I probably overpaid, but I really wanted it. I'd been waiting a long time for one of those. And then lo and behold, you know how this works. Not that much later, for not that much more money, I got this bad boy in a 9. So super stoked to have both of these out of 50. So how about that pair? Oh, man, we are just about. All right, we're getting ready to show 2 more pairs and then wrap this up. And those 2 more pairs each include a never-before-shown card on this channel. So let's do it. Oh, yeah, let's do it. Oh, man, this is going to be a half hour, but hey, that's usually what happens with me because I'm so long-winded. Now, I have shown this before, maybe once or twice. But this is the 2025 Independence Day. I think they did a fantastic job. I think, the patriotic theme here goes really well with the 2025 Topps design and what they've done with it out of 76. Okay, my new card, never before shown. What do you think would pair well with that? You might be able to guess what this new card is. I got it for $115. No, it was $155.62. of course, I was trying to get it for as little as I could. The seller, I think, wanted $200, and so I think I started with an offer of $100 or $110 or something. Anyway, or maybe he wanted $150. Anyway, whatever it was, I got it for $115.59. Now, where did that 59 cents come from? His shipping was $4.41. So that gets me into this. And this was $155.62. Sorry, I'm messing this up with the next card I'm going to show here in a minute. Sorry about that. This was $155.62. Okay, he wanted $200 or $199, and ultimately we agreed on $155.62. I threw in the 62 cents because of Aaron Judge's 62 home runs, even though that was, a few years earlier. Without further ado, here it is, the 2025, right off the printing press. Woo-hoo! I think this looks stunning in black. Topps black base card, Aaron Judge. Not even graded for $155.62. Somebody could say out of 74 because 1951 plus 74 is 2025. Somebody could say, well, Adam, you overpaid. And I could say, you may very well be right. In fact, you might, you're probably right. But I don't care. And even if I did overpay, I think over time it'll be an underpay. But even if it's not, I still don't care because I love these. Look at that pair. All right. We are not done. We got one more pair to close this out. But here's the deal. Let's take another quick vintage intermission. Woo, yeah. Woo. All right. Going from disgusted to delighted with modern, but of course I'm still delighted, still totally delighted with vintage. Look at those screaming colors. You don't often see these colors. This was a case where coloring totally trumped centering for me, and the nice to price ratio trumped centering. Now, I'm not trying to diss on centering. I love well-centered cards. I'm just saying that the nice to price ratio can trump not just centering, it can trump corner wear, it can trump, certain surface issues, it can trump all sorts of things. What do we mean by that? What do I mean by that? What I mean is that for $875, the nice to price ratio is just off the freaking charts. And so, when we talk about how nice a card is, it kind of has to be relative to price, because if we have, I know this is kind of extreme, but if we have $100,000 to spend on a copy of this Leaf Joe DiMaggio, well, of course we can get a super nice one. Heck, if we have $50,000, we can get a super nice one. Heck, if we have $10,000, we can get, a pretty darn nice one. But if we're talking under $1,000, this bad boy is blowing us away. For under $1,000, the nice to price ratio, totally off the charts. Intermission number 2. By the way, I'm not on caffeine or drugs or anything like that. I'm just stoked. Now the last 2 cards. Woohoo! I've had this for a while. I think I got it for $100. Maybe it was $110. 2022. I love the Allen and Ginter. And this was my only Allen and Ginter card. Well, Judge card. My only Allen and Ginter Judge card. I have a few that are Willie Mays. And Jammy Gem 10 gold refractor out of 50. What do you think's going to pair well? This is a new card. I've never shown before. I'm going to take it out of the sleeve to do this upright. The dealer or the seller, I should say, at first tried to make a deal and it didn't work out. And then, his card sat there for a long time and eventually we made a deal. $115.59. He had $4.41 for shipping. So my second offer to him was $115.59, or maybe it was my first offer after some span of time when I had offered earlier, to get me up to $120 total, no tax in Oregon. Here we go. Without further ado, from his other MVP year, 2022 MVP, 2024 MVP, American League, the Allen and Ginter Chrome Gold Refractor out of 50. Man, this is so elegant. And the gold is just amazing. And I tell you what, Allen and Ginter, I just think that's so cool. I know it's not from 1887, but Judge wasn't playing then. But it's got that vintagey, design. I think this is just absolutely outstanding. So yeah, I went from disgusted to delighted with select modern cards. Mostly doing Aaron Judge, but I do have a few others. Of course, I didn't show any of the others really to speak of other than this gorgeous beauty that I have not shown before, where the gold is just oozing off this bad boy. Let me turn this camera around. Let's see. 30 minutes. Yep, I made it. Yeah. Tell me what you think in those comments below. Agree, disagree, or hey, if you don't feel like agreeing or disagreeing, just, don't comment or say whatever you want. That's fine. Of course, it's a free country. But yeah, hey, if you want to tell me what you think, are you someone that's disgusted with modern? That's fine. I'd love to hear it. Do you think you'd ever become delighted with select modern cards? If the answer is yes, no, maybe, I'd love to hear it. We're all on this collecting journey. We can all change over time, and I have changed big time from being disgusted to delighted. Woohoo! Thank you for sharing in my joy. I hope you had a wonderful and peaceful time in the Vintage Sanctuary. Take care, my collecting brothers and sisters.